I never believed in ghosts, at least not until I moved into the house at the end of Ashwood Lane. My wife Anna and I were in the middle of rebuilding our lives after losing almost everything in a fire. The house was old, far too big for just the two of us, and had been sitting unsold for years. That should have been a red flag, but the price was too good to pass up. The first night was uneventful. We unpacked a few boxes, drank wine on the creaky front porch, and marveled at how lucky we were to find such a place. The second night, things changed. I woke up to the sound of footsteps. They were light, almost hesitant, and seemed to be coming from the attic. I nudged Anna, but she was fast asleep. I grabbed a flashlight and went to investigate. The attic stairs groaned under my weight, and the air up there was heavy, like the room hadn't been touched in years. But there was nothing, just dusty boxes and cobwebs. I convinced myself it was the house settling and went back to bed. The next morning, Anna mentioned hearing a woman crying. It sounded faint, like it was coming from far away, she said over coffee. I brushed it off, blaming the wind or maybe an animal outside, but by the third night there was no denying it, something was wrong with the house. We were lying in bed when the door to our bedroom creaked open. At first I thought it was just the drafty old windows, but then I saw it, a shadow in the hallway. It wasn't the shape of a person, not exactly. It was too tall, too thin, and seemed to ripple, like smoke caught in a breeze. "Do you see that?" Anna whispered, clutching my arm. I nodded, unable to speak. The shadow moved, sliding into the room like it was being pulled by an unseen force, then it stopped at the foot of our bed. "Leave," a voice rasped, low and guttural. It didn't sound human. We froze, and just as quickly as it appeared, the shadow vanished. The next day, we decided to look into the history of the house. The town library was small and musty, but the librarian seemed to know exactly what we were looking for. "Oh, the Ashwood house," she said, lowering her voice. "That place has a dark history." She handed us an old newspaper article. The headline read, "Family of 4 disappears without a trace." The article explained that in 1967, the family living in the house vanished. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, just gone. The only clue was a series of strange symbols carved into the walls of the attic, which were later removed during renovations. I felt a chill run down my spine. "Symbols?" I asked. The librarian nodded. No one ever figured out what they meant. Some people said it was witchcraft, others thought it was a warning. That night, Anna and I decided to sleep in the living room with the lights on. It felt ridiculous, but neither of us wanted to be upstairs. Around midnight, the house came alive. Doors slammed, and the sound of furniture scraping against the floor echoed through the halls. Then came the laughter, high-pitched, childlike, and completely out of place. "Did you hear that?" Anna whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Before I could answer, the chandelier above us started to sway. It wasn't just moving a little, it was swinging violently, the crystals clinking together like wind chimes in a storm. "We have to leave," I said, grabbing her hand. As we ran for the door, it slammed shut in front of us. No matter how hard I pulled, it wouldn't budge. "Please," Anna sobbed, "just let us go." The laughter stopped, replaced by a low growl that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The temperature dropped, and our breath became visible in the air. Then we saw them. Figures began to emerge from the shadows, their faces twisted and grotesque. One was a man with hollow eyes and a mouth stretched impossibly wide. Another was a woman whose neck was bent at an unnatural angle. Behind them, 2 children stood hand in hand, their faces obscured by darkness. "You shouldn't be here," the man said, his voice echoing in my head. "We didn't mean to," I started, but he cut me off. "This house is ours." Somehow we managed to escape. I don't remember how. Everything after that is a blur. All I know is that we never went back. The house at the end of Ashwood Lane is still there, its windows dark and uninviting. Sometimes I think about the family that disappeared and wonder if they're still there, trapped in that place. If you ever find yourself on Ashwood Lane, do yourself a favor. Keep driving.